All right, we're joined by head coach Regy Thorpe ahead of the game against Cornell. We'll open up to questions.
Coach, let's talk about the difficult schedule, one of the hardest in the nation, that obviously that rough 0-3 start. How has that challenge of the opposing competition, how does that factor into player development over the course of the season?
It's just, I think when you come to Syracuse, you want to play the best teams in the country. And it's certainly a challenging schedule and some quick turnarounds, but I think kids have been buying in and they really enjoy. And like I said, we're going to head down to Cornell tomorrow to play a team that's, their RPI is a 21-22 as of this morning. So really good RPI, and it's a great opportunity for us to go down and battle a tough Cornell team that's playing really good defense. I mean, their defense is ranked number 4 in the country. So, I mean, they're not giving up a lot of goals. So our offense has to continue to kind of build on, that good game against Pitt.
Coach, it seems like all the pieces are kind of coming together on offense. You have Molly, you have Caroline, you have Emma. Mackenzie kind of showed the other day with 7 points. I mean, what's it like just having a unit like that just has so many different pieces that can capitalize for you?
Well, we've been waiting. I mean, it's one game, but we got to continue. And I think Coach Nicole's doing a good job. We're averaging around 27 shots a game. It hasn't cashed in those first group of games, and it finally did. So we just got to continue. I think if we can continue to develop offensively and continue to work and manage the draws, I think those are 2 areas that we got to. I mean, defense is rolling; they're doing great, and we want to continue that. But I think the draws and offense, we just need to continue to keep building our fundamentals.
The matchups have changed, but what's a common denominator or 2 you've seen in this winning streak from your team?
Just sticking to the game plan. I think in all those games, some things didn't go right, but I think just sticking to the game plan, trusting the process, and just trusting the systems. And kids, made some plays down the stretch in the game, and I don't think they don't really tense or get tight. I think if they stick to the plan, good things were happening. We're making tweaks in each game, so the kids are doing a great job buying in.
The draws were really the only big negative disparity on Saturday. What improvements do you think need to be there?
Just our draw unit. I think we got off to a good start on the draws. It was gave us a few more possessions. We were able to cash in offensively, got some stops defensively, and then the wheels fell off a little bit there. Towards the middle of the second to the third period. So we just got to do a better job. It's been a work in progress all year. We're clipping around 40% on the draw, so 44%. So we got to be in that 50 range to compete and give yourself more opportunities offense and less opportunities for less possessions for our opponents and play less defense. So those we're just going to keep focusing on and keep working on it. It's an area that is a work in progress for sure.
Have you seen improvements from game 1 to now in that unit?
Yeah, we'll have a good game, and then we'll the thing with our draw unit, all those kids have a lot of responsibilities. Molly Gusick has a lot of responsibilities. Our middies have a lot of responsibilities. So we just got to do a little more attention and keep that focus for through from game to game.
Certainly, a player like Mackenzie Ridge, how, I guess, would you describe her as a player to kind of impact that offense as a whole? Once she kind of gets going.
Yeah, I think Mackenzie plays very calm and with a lot of poise, and I think she's very cool under pressure, and I think she's been pretty consistent, and I think she's got another 2-3 more years though. I think she's she plays with a lot of poise. I just think she can keep getting better and better as the season goes.
Reggie, with Coco getting the record now, just what kind of traits does she have to have that consistency and be able to sit at the top of a mark like that?
She's just a great leader on her defense. Is the voice for Coach Caitlin back there, and making sure we're in position. So she's a quarterback. She's a quarterback of our defense there, and the kids really respect her, and she's a good leader, and they listen to her, and she's again extension of Coach Caitlin's arm. It's really nice having her on the field and directing the kids.
How does Coach Caitlin lead this defense? What are some of the things that you two work on, both coming from defensive backgrounds, to keep that defense consistent?
Yeah, I mean, we worked together in the past, So I mean, we're very, very collaborative. But Defo just dissects offense. She's great at doing it, and it tweaks from game to game. The defense on different pressure points and what type of inside people they have, what type of feeders they have. So she just does a really good job, I think, game to game. Kind of I don't want to say money balling, but just kind of where we want to put the pressure points in, and she does a great job with it.
You said your defense is the best in the country. What makes you feel that way about 12 games in the season?
Yeah, I just I think one of the best in the country, but I mean, like I said, they're every game. Every game we've played a challenging schedule, and they've stepped up in all those games. So you play the best, and they've been going toe to toe with the best. So and what I love about that group is they just continually get better and learn, and I think they're very unsatisfied, and they're always trying to get better. So I think where some units might rest on their laurels a little bit, I think she just I think our whole defense is just really checked in each game and focusing on what we can correct from the previous game.
Both from like in mentality, but also in performance. What are the biggest changes you've noticed from the defensive unit from game 1 to now?
They're just. I think they're consistent. I think they bring in practice every day, and they're very tough on themselves in a good way. They critique a lot, and they hold each other accountable. And but I think they've been very consistent. And again, the game plan changes a little bit from game to game on how we're going to play the defense. But I think the buy-in from the defense in the middies and being consistent with Coach Caitlin's systems really they've done a good job with.
And
Time for a couple more.
you just mentioned Coco is the quarterback of the defense. I know you also have Casey, but what's it been like to see players like Izzy or Mackenzie Salentry also step up on the unit?
I mean, they have a lot of experience, and I think that's important. I think Izzy played the last 3-4 games last year, and she carried that over to this year and earned a spot in the fall. And then Casey has played a lot of games for us, and then Mackenzie came from Albany and big game experience, and was defender of the year for Albany. So I think those guys have a lot of good experience and playing experience, and I think that is really helping our defense out.
Flow of the game always changes, Reggie, but the defense can do so well. Sometimes Danielle doesn't see a lot of shots. Do you kind of build that into practice and strategy, knowing that she might go spaces of time in between active offenses?
Yeah, I mean, she didn't get a ton of shots, against Pittsburgh, which is a good thing, but also I think she needs shots to get no flow there. But when we've needed her, she's done awesome. And she's been our backbone back there. And Coach Maggie's done a great job with her, so getting us some timely saves when we need it. So yeah, I think it's not a bad thing, but I think for Tuesday night at Cornell, we expect a few more shots. They got a pretty potent offense, and they really lean on their defense. So it should be a good test for our offense, and then a good test for our defense as well.
One more quick. Yeah, one more quick one on a different note. Have you had a chance to talk with Brian Blair yet? And what have your early conversations been like?
No, I mean we just a couple email exchanges in there, but I mean we're really excited. It's a new era for Syracuse athletics, and it's been nothing but positive. And talking with the other coaching peers, they're just super excited. I think the future of Syracuse athletics is very bright.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.